In this video, we'll show you how to replace the neutral safety switch on your Subaru Baja. This is located underneath the vehicle and on the passenger side of the transmission. Let's get started. Before we can remove the neutral safety switch, we need to put the car in neutral. And go ahead and turn the key off. We have two 10mm we can remove from either side of the airbox. We can do the same with the 10mm on the other side. And we can remove this 10mm as well. We can unplug this sensor into the airbox. Now we can use an 8mm or a flathead to loosen up this hose clamp. Now we have vacuum hoses on either side. These just have a little pinch clamp. Move that off and then pull the hose off. We'll do the same to the one on the other side. On this side we can pull part of the intake hose out of the way and then pinch that clamp and pull the hose off. Now we can pull on the airbox towards the back of the vehicle and lift it out of the car. With the vehicle raised and supported, we can go ahead and remove our wheel. We can remove the lug nuts with a 19mm. If the wheel's stuck on, you can thread one lug nut on a few turns. I'm going to use a dead blow hammer on the back side of the wheel. I'm going to strike the tire, trying not to hit the rim. And we can remove our wheel. And we can do the same on the other side. With the vehicle raised and supported and our front wheels removed, we have two 10mm bolts on either side of the splash shield. And we can do the same on the other side. Moving up front, we have two more 10mm. There are some clips up top that will help hold this up while we remove the rear bolts. Moving towards the back of the splash shield, we have two 12mm. Now we can go ahead and drop down the splash shield and put that off to the side. On either side of our headers on the exhaust, we have three 14mm studs. We'll go ahead and remove those. We can do the same on the other side. Moving down the exhaust, we have another 14mm bolt right under the back of the transmission. We have two connectors for the O2 sensors. This front one, we can press in on the tab towards the front of the vehicle and pull the connector out towards the back side. Going to make sure you check the terminals for any damage or corrosion while you're in here. That looks good. Moving down this wiring harness, we find our white O2 sensor at the back. We'll press in on the tab on that, pop that out. Same as the other, you want to check your terminals on the wiring harness. Those look good. Moving down the wire for that O2 sensor, we come to a clip, holding it to a bracket. I'm just going to use my clip tool to pull that off. You can certainly use a flathead screwdriver to do that. Moving down the frontward O2 sensor wire, we have another clip. And pop that off. Moving to the back of the vehicle, we can remove our exhaust hangers. Just going to use a small pry bar. And we have two more exhaust hangers at the very back of the exhaust. Now I'm going to use a pole jack to support the rear end of the exhaust while I remove the last two hangers. Now with an assistant helping me to lower the exhaust, we can just get the exhaust off of the hook right here on the bottom of the transmission. And we'll just drop this down and out of the way. With the exhaust out of the way, we can see our neutral safety switch here. Up top, we have an electrical connector. We're going to just pop this white tab off by pressing it down. We can give it a little wiggle. We want to set that off to the side because we need to reuse this. Next, we have a tab right behind that. We can push in on that tab and push up on the connector. We're going to check the terminals for any damage or corrosion. These look good. Next, we have a pin going through the arm. You can fold back the ear towards the front of the vehicle and slide the pin out. You want to be careful not to lose the pin or the washer. Then I'm going to use a flathead screwdriver. We can go ahead and remove the two 14 millimeters holding on our cable. We can move the lever forward. That way we can get access to our three 8mm bolts. Now we can take our shift lever and move it all the way back. Then we'll start to turn. And then you can pop the lever out of this slot. When installing the neutral safety switch, we have a small fork here on the front. We can go ahead and slide that over the lever on the back side. There's a stub on the back side of the lever. We'll get that started over. And we'll get our bolts started in. In order to get this bolt in, we'll need to push the lever forward. Now we can snug down the 3 bolts. You want to be very careful when tightening these. You don't want to over tighten them. We get our shifter cable in place. We'll get the bolts started in. It's good to get both bolts started in before you tighten them both down. We'll just snug these down. Now we can move our shifter lever back so that we can get the cable on it. Our grommet stayed with the lever, so we just had to put the shifter cable back onto the grommet. Your grommet should pull off of the stud in the middle. Ours stayed behind with the lever, but that's okay. It's still the same process. Get the washer on. We'll get the pin in. We can get the electrical connector back together. Make sure that fully locks down. Then we can slide the white clip up to lock the electrical connector in place. Before installing the exhaust, it's a good idea to make sure that the vehicle will shift into all the gears. To do this, we can just turn the key on to ignition 2 without starting the engine, and then we'll just run it through the gears with our foot on the brake. As long as it goes into all the gears fine, you're all set. We can put the exhaust on. We can raise the exhaust up to the vehicle, and we'll get the center support in place. We can get that bolt started in. And I like to get the rest of the exhaust hangers on before I tighten that down. If you used anything to secure the exhaust up, you're going to want to remove that now. Now we can get our exhaust hangers lined up. We have one more hanger to get on, just in front of the muffler. Now we need to get our exhaust gaskets back in. On the passenger side, I had one stud stay in. I'm just going to slip that under and line it up. We can go ahead and do the same thing on the other side with the other gasket. I'm using a pole jack to raise this up. You can certainly use a regular jack. Get this lined up. You don't want it quite all the way up because you still want to be able to move the gasket around to line it up while you install the bolts. There can be some tension on these, so you will need to wiggle the headers around while you tighten these up. And we'll get all these in on the other side as well. Now we can go ahead and snug all of these up together. I'm going to get each one just touching before I go ahead and tighten all of them down together. And before I fully snug those up, I'm going to go ahead and tighten them down on the other side, and then we can torque all of them. And we can tighten these to 22.4 foot-pounds. We can go ahead and do the same on the other header. Now we can go ahead and tighten up the bolt. It's just behind the transmission pan. We'll just snug this up. Doesn't need to be too tight. And we can torque this to 26 foot-pounds. We can plug our downstream O2 sensor in, as well as the upstream. We have a small tab coming off the transmission. You can insert the clip into that, push it in, make sure that's secured. We have another tab coming off of the transmission and engine. We can slide our forward connector onto that. Just make sure that's locked in, not going to fall off. Now we have another clip point down lower. Go ahead and get that in place and make sure it's secure. As you raise the engine splash shield up, we have two tabs on the front side. When you get those into their holes, that'll help hold itself up. You just need to get the back screws in first. We'll just snug these down. They don't need to be too tight. We get the two bolts in on the front portion. Same as the back two, these don't need to be too tight. We can get our screws in on either side in the wheel wells, and we'll snug those down as well. And we'll do the same on the other side. And we can install our wheel, just line up each of the studs. We can hold the wheel up to the hub and get one of the lug nuts started in. Get that one in all the way, and that'll hold it in while we get the rest on. Now we can snug these up. We can torque these to 80 foot-pounds in a star pattern. We can get our air box lined back up, slide that over the throttle body. You want to check to make sure that you haven't folded over your rubber grommet on the bottom as you do this. Get that seated down and get each of your bolt holes lined up. Get our bolts back in. We'll snug each of these down. Next, we need to get the vacuum hoses on each side of the airbox. Make sure you get the clamp back on there. On the passenger side, we need to get the intake back together. We can just push that together. Get the hose on the other side. Don't forget the clamp. It's good to try to get these pinch clamps down the same orientation that they were when you removed them. That way they don't want to pull off. We'll plug this connector back in. Make sure that's fully seated and won't pull back off. Now we can tighten down the hose clamp holding on the airbox. This doesn't need to be too tight, just tight enough to hold the airbox on.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.